Thank you, Rula.
I am here.
Okay, so basically, let's click on. You're making me miss my. I had a 1080p monitor, but right now I'm on just my laptop screen, so your resolution's really good.
Really?
So, yes, is that Pablo? Okay. So basically what we want to do is let's click on, where is this, media? Okay, here it is. Button, game start. Let's click on this, and what we want to do is, I think at the top is where it's going to be. We're looking for something to the effect that says like when you touch it. So I think it's going to be a yellow block, or one of these orange ones. So let's see. My assumption is that it's touched down or touched. Let's also click and let's just see what touched might be better, because touched might be, the other ones might have a specification on like how it's touched. But let's try this. Yeah, we can right click and delete. Then what we want to do is switch the, we're going to want to switch the scene. So I think that is going to be under, actually check real quick. Screen to screen one. So I think it's gonna be under, let me see. Not 100% sure. I'm actually just gonna click through. I know what it looks like when I see it. It's just I don't use App Inventor as aggressively as Scratch. So variables, set something, procedures, screen, one screen. Yeah, I was thinking we were gonna do a little more setting up. Rodrigo, you're a genius of exporting the file. That's what I had planned, was replicating the file. Got to export import. So screen one with. If you find it first, just let me know. Let me go to. I have a few projects, and I know I did this in one of these. So test Rocket Racer. Okay. Open another screen. Okay. So close screen. Open another screen. Okay, so it's under control. So go to the control option. And then it's open another screen. This option here. Let's drag and drop. So when we touch the button, we're gonna open another screen. And the screen we want to open, let's we can use, I believe we can use text. And this should let us click a string together. Let me check on my side. Yeah, I used the first option in text. So we can specify the name of the screen. So if we click on this drop down up here, we'll be able to read it. So developer underscore logo. So we're gonna have to manually type it. So let's switch back to screen one. So each of these screens is basically like its own game file almost. They share media, and you can pass variables, but the code is unique to each one. So we want to just type in, we already say don't use underscores in file names. Just to clarify, App Inventor's the naming convention only allows lowercase letters and underscores. Um, so the only way we can separate words in a name of a scene or screen or variable or anything in App Inventor is going to be with underscores, which I know we always use hyphens or dashes. So we're gonna probably mess that up and get a lot of little pop-up saying you have to use an underscore. But no worries. That's let me make sure that's correct. Save projects, my projects. Developer logo. Okay, so in theory, when we press this button, it should do that. These items, let's see, this we can delete, and this one is just if there's something we have to initialize. That's basically the equivalent of saying when we click the green flag. So we can delete it for now, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys saw that, and also my first instinct when I code is to initialize a scene. In this case, I think we just need to have a code where we press a button and something happens. But I'm gonna just double check when dot touched in App Inventor. Let me make sure that this is the right command. By its name, it appears to be mole mash sprite when touched. That sounds right. Okay, so now I think what we should do is test this because just before we actually, let's code a little more and then we'll test it because let's go another like 5 or 10 minutes because this is the only time we have to touch. The next ones we can go on a timer. So now let's go to the next screen for developer logo. So it will be in there. And now all we want to do is set something. It will basically be the same command from the control tab that says open a new screen. Use the text block, and you can specify the scene's name. So and this is going to be open another screen. And then we're going to choose text. And we'll choose this top option again. And that's basically the code. But now we just need to make sure we have a timed event, or we could just say click to continue. I almost wonder, what do you guys think would be better, an automatic timer, or do you think people should just click to go to the next slide? Because I almost wonder if people read at different paces, it might almost be annoying, but letting them choose to go to the next slide or skip the whole thing might be a good choice. So we could just have something that says click to continue. What do you guys think is better?
Brent, well, my idea. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My idea. A little bit crazy, but that the camera sees at your face, watches at your face, and tells to the program if you are watching at the phone.
Oh, I see. So basically using the webcam as like a live input. So if your eyes leave the phone and look away, it knows that you finished. Kind of like it will be responsive to your physical actions.
Yes.
I think that's really cool. Um, I'm also almost 30, so I think it's creepy that technology can do that sometimes. But the one thing that I think would be good is let's keep it simple in the beginning and then go back and add that in. I know that App Inventor can use the phone and it can use a screenshot, but I don't think it has any like AI kind of feature that would be able to like scan the picture for facial recognition or what's going on with your face in terms of your eyes or orientation of your head, which way it's facing. So I think capturing the image for App Inventor to use is easy, but getting it to do something with that image besides saving it or using it as a texture might be challenging. Which I don't want to discourage anything that's challenging. I think look at Apple, look at Google. Nothing was easy, but now they make a lot of money and they change the world. So if it's challenging, it's probably worth it. I just think let's come back to it once we get the game wrapped. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. And keep the idea. Don't forget it. Like write it down somewhere. I'll write it in the notes later. Okay. So of the and if you guys have any other ideas, definitely give them. So I'm thinking, it could be on a timer or it could just say click to, go to the next slide. Do you guys think either of those are better than the other, or do you think there's a better solution? Like what Rodrigo presented would be really cool, but it might just take too long to make. Um,
The timer, no?
Timer? Okay. So let's see. I haven't built anything with the time yet, so this would be fun. So let's I'm just gonna really quick in the background try something. So under logic, the green highlighted section, we have the options for equal to. Let's see if there's a less than.
Here is a clock.
Ooh. Okay. That might actually be needed for this. Let's give it a try. Give it a try. Let's see. I'm gonna grab the same sensor. Clock. Clocks.
It can fire a timer.
Nice. All right. Way to go, Rodrigo. Now, okay, I just found a code snippet offline using the clock. I haven't tried this code before, and I'm hopeful that the person that wrote it tested it. Um, it's always a fear I have when I'm grabbing code snippets from the internet. People confidently post them, but unless it's on a form where someone checks them, I'm always hesitant to call them guaranteed modules. But this looks like a good module if it works. I just put it in the chat box. Basically, it says when clock, the name of the clock, dot timer, do, and then set countdown label text, and then you take the text and you subtract. Okay, set text countdown label -1. I don't see where we initiate the time value, but I did see in the code itself how to add, set interval, set time, add minutes. So I'm assuming this combined with the method to initialize Okay, this I found a way better code sample. Initialize global timer to 30. When you click set global timer to true, initialize global timer start to false. So it doesn't count until, and then set get. This one is a YouTube link. It's 8 minutes, which I dread when someone could just. So I'm gonna put this link in chat, but I'm far too lazy to watch that right now. I feel like that's a long time investment for something that if they just showed you the code you could get. I'm gonna share another image in chat.
This video is how to make a timer.
If you skip to the very end of the video, it will probably just show us the code. That's what I do when I see a video I just can't, expect to want to watch the whole thing. So, okay, the top piece of code, initialize global, timer to 30. So that means 30 seconds. We're going to set global timer to something like maybe 2 or 3 seconds. And then initialize global start to false. My assumption with that means that if it's a timer, maybe I wonder if the name timer is something that's like reserved for counting down, or if that's just initialize global. I'm wondering why they set it to false, if it auto counts down or not. Because down below it looks like they subtract 1 from it. But so this makes perfect sense to me. This kind of makes sense. It seems like they want to not activate it. Once you click a button, now we don't necessarily have to use a button. We could just say, when the screen initializes, set global start to true. So when the screen loads, it automatically starts to count down. And then, okay, so timer. So I don't know if these are related. I don't know if those are, but it seems like they could be. Maybe that's why they set it to false. So and we have a nested, so we have an AND gate, and then we have just something that checks if a value is true. If global start is true and the global timer is greater than 0. Okay, so this is just checking to make sure there's time left on the clock and that we set it to true. So this seems like maybe it's more of a function of how they want it to work to prevent issues. And then we say set global timer to, and we set it to its own value minus 1. So basically, if we set it to 10, and then we set it, this is a global timer. This is an object with the value of 10. Now we're saying you equal yourself minus 1. So that means it's now 9. And then we say you equal yourself minus 1. And then it becomes 8 and so forth. Hi, Norman. I see your chat. We'll send you the video too.
I hear now.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
What was the problem?
I don't know. Just it sounds how do you say, like a sound, and then I hear.
Sounds like it might have been bandwidth.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you can hear us. We recorded this, so you'll have this soon.
Yes.
I hope you followed along okay. Okay, so now basically this just repeats forever until you reach 0. So you take its value. So our value is 30. 30 minus 1 is 29. 29 minus 1 is 28. This just loops and loops and loops. Once it is equal to 0, it's no longer greater than. And let's see. Okay, so it seems like the if is here, if something then, and then you can do an else. So as soon as this becomes not true, we'll probably want to inject another piece of code here. There's probably a method to do else under control. I'm going to assume it's in control. So we'll just have an if else statement, and the condition for the if statement is just the timer has time left and the timer was started. And that seems like it. And then once this is not true anymore, we execute, go to the next screen. So that's a bunch
Excuse me,
of gibberish.
Brent,
Yeah.
may I chime in here? I think I'm missing something here. Global timer implies to me that there's an internal clock in the device, because I don't see any wait 1 second. It just you're looping you're
I think
looping
it's used in the
around.
system.
When you set the global time variable to reduce it by 1, where's the 1 second delay?
I see what you're saying. How does it know what amount to count down by?
Right. It seems to me like this would just go as fast. Well, there's not even a repeat. Oh no, this is effectively a repeat loop, right? When clock.
That's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah. But I don't see any wait 1 second here. Like in Scratch, right? If you want to count down, you have to wait a second. Unless
Right.
global timer is something internal, a number internal, but that doesn't make sense either, because you set the timer to 0 or set timer to 30. I mean, I just don't understand the logic of this. It's not as clean as Scratch. It's not as obvious.
I'm 100% with you.
Beg your pardon?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, I love Scratch compared to this.
Yeah.
So bad though compared to other app builders.
It's still easier than other app builders, right?
But that doesn't necessarily mean that app builders are easy. Just in magnitude, this is not so harsh.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it would be great if it just had. I wonder why they don't.
If it works,
Just use.
and then if it doesn't work, then, but if it works, we should still know how to answer that question. Where does the delay happen? Is that somehow built into the global time variable? If that's the case, it seems to me there's a lot. If that's the case, you just check, is the global timer equal to 30? You know, you wouldn't have to set the timer to time minus 1. Global timer is definitely a variable.
Right. Right. Well, I get why they're doing it self minus 1. Because that would just grab itself and then remove. But the
Yeah.
1, I'm assuming, is relative to. When this is working in seconds, not milliseconds. Just because 30 milliseconds would be such a small amount of time.
Right, right.
Which is, again, that's an assumption, which is dangerous in itself. But if it operates in seconds for the timer at its smallest unit, maybe I think when it says timer, maybe you're right. There's an internal function that does everything on seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So when you minus 1, maybe it has to wait to the next second to execute itself again. The only piece of the puzzle that might give some insight, John, with what you're saying is clock is a sensor that you have to manually add you add it in design view, and it uses your phone, your internal clock. So it's timing itself off of your phone's time.
I see. Well, that's critical information.
Yeah, I mean that's also an assumption. But I mean, when it says clock 1, it matches the sensor name.
Yeah.
So let's
Rodrigo and Roman and Pablo, do you see the problem here? You guys know Scratch pretty well. I don't understand the logic here of this code.
Being honest, also, neither me.
Sorry, Pablo, say again?
Honestly, neither me.
Okay, you don't get the logic either. Okay.
Because it says like -1.
Yeah.
And then says set label text to get global timer, and global timer is 30.
Right.
Okay, so here's what's I think is going on is it initializes, so it only happens once when it sets it. So it only sets it to 30 when it initializes this variable. When the screen loads, so it's set to 30, but it doesn't happen again. Then when it begins to count down, it's removing 1 from itself in a loop. So it's basically counting 30, 29, 28.
Yep.
And this item right here, this is a text field. So the text field labeled, what you're doing is after you subtract 1, you're updating the
The
text
display.
to display. So it's showing you the countdown like
Yep.
numerically. Like it's actually gonna print out on the screen.
Yep,
But
I get that.
the
I
main
just
thing
don't get
noticed-
where the 1 second delay is.
right, the interval. It doesn't show us an interval that we can manipulate.
Right.
I mean, it should have something where we have to say how many seconds it takes or how many times it. I mean, but then again, a repeat loop in Scratch, right? It doesn't have a. But that as fast as possible, right? A repeat loop, unless you put in the delay.
Right, right.
So this is interesting.
Well, let's see if it works. And then,
Yeah. Well, here's what I think we can do is, let's build this app and see if we can press the button.
and
So
watch the time go down. Hmm.
yeah, well, not even that because we didn't build it yet. We were just researching it.
Hmm.
So Rodrigo, Pablo, and I think Norman left. Let's build this real quick, and then that way you guys can see how to test again. So if you could go back to the App Inventor screen,
Yes.
and let's see. So just as a reminder, right now the code we did write, if you go back to scene 1, or screen 1, I mean I keep calling it scene. Blender calls it scenes, and I used to use Blender Game Engine a lot. So when we touch the launch game, the start game button, it should go to the next screen, which is the logo. And then from there, we're gonna implement the timer. So every time 2 seconds or 3 seconds pass, we'll pick the interval later, like with the duration, until the timer counts down. But this code right now should at least let us touch the button and go to the next screen. So let's go to build.
Brent,
Yes.
I just have a question. I don't know if it's written like that, but touch, when it says touch, it's like click on it or only touch with the mouse.
I see. I'm gonna assume either. I know links in browsers and a lot of stuff will register a touch as a click and a click as a touch. So if you're using a mouse Android, I know you can left click and drag stuff the same way you would use your finger. So I suspect that touch is equivalent to click, but they just say touch because they assume touch is the main input. Similar to like on a Windows computer or tablet, like an all-in-one computer. Most people use a keyboard and mouse, but when you use it as a touchscreen or add a touchscreen to it, the touching will still register as a click. That I'm assuming though, but we'll find out. And actually, Rodrigo, would you zoom in a little bit because I'm gonna download this. If you can't, actually, let me. Okay, perfect. I was gonna say my phone might register it still. Okay, I am downloading it. Thank you. You can zoom back if you need to. Let's see if this downloads. That was sad. I don't think it downloaded. Let's see. Oh, thank you. You were the best. I'm
Friends,
just gonna
I've got to
copy.
excuse myself, so I'll just sign off to everyone. Bye, Rodrigo, Pablo.
Bye, Brent.
Bye, Pablo.
No,
Actually,
sorry.
Brent can stay on longer, maybe. Bye, Pablo. See you
Bye.
guys.
See you.
Bye.
I don't.
Bye.
All right. So let's see. Who do we got? Okay. So Rigo left. So Pablo. I think I'm just gonna check this real quick, and then I'll let you know if the code worked correctly. But then, we'll send you the video. Um, right now, I got about 1 megabyte left. And let me see, what can I unplug? Okay. I'm gonna screen share my phone with you just so we can see this together once I get this installed. It's almost done downloading. All right, so let's see. Share screen. All right. Well, I'm glad we're testing this because it doesn't look perfect to begin with. Let's see. So right now, I clearly have an issue where I have a lot of empty space at the bottom. So I'm curious how to resolve that. I think it was set to a pixel amount, at least their coordinates. So that is definitely something we can look into to see. Maybe there's even code we can write to make the sprites initialize and go to the bottom. Okay, and clicking the launch screen button did work. So as soon as we click, it does go to the next scene. And again, this one was set to fill the screen, but it doesn't seem to logically stretch the image. So I think that's good to know. We might have to separate these as individual layers, like the logo from the black background. Make a black background, set this logo to a sprite, and then we could probably code it to center a line vertically and horizontally. And then on this, we have the issue where these are up here. So maybe we want to find code where we can force them to the bottom and position things using the code blocks versus, because the layout looks like it in App Inventor. Let me just clear this.
Yes.
In app. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh no, sorry.
I was telling to someone in English.
Oh, this is probably it. Size and responsive or fixed. So I'm gonna look into this during the week, but the code worked. The code to go to the next screen worked. The visuals look crisp enough on the screen. They're just not laid out properly. So I just gotta figure that part out before next week. And so we know the code to click to do something is working. Now all we gotta do is get that timer. I'll try that timer out with the interns on the weekend. That way next Wednesday we can get right into the timer and then we can code everything up into the game starting by next week. All right, so Pablo, I will see you next week. I know you missed some of this, so when you watch the video, if you have any questions, just email Lula, John, and myself, and we can set up a time to meet if you need a little extra help.
Yes. Only Brent.
Yes.
Is that today I went to my basketball training, and when it finished, they sent me that they will. I don't know how to say it. Like they passed me up.
I am here, Pablo, in case you want a translation.
And to the selection.
Oh, wow.
So I will train all the days, and I don't know if I could. I don't know the time when the selection trains. So I don't know if I will be in the class.
Well, what we could do, I know Norman leaves a little early, like some 10 minutes early. maybe what we could do, because there's only 4 of us, depending on Lula, what you think and what John says, but we could probably just move the time if you guys want.
Well, the problem is that we will have Pablo. I know that you're going to be training, I suppose, all the days, sorry. But find out what's going to be your schedule, because
Yes, I will. I can email you.
what?
I can send you a message.
Yes, because maybe you could talk to the coach only for this hour.
Yes.
And the rest of the week you are available for that training.
I see. Yes.
Yeah, maybe it's possible. I know this because we have students from other grades in robotics class that they train with Halcones, that it's a really good team in basketball team, and they go to robotics and then they go to their training. They talk to the trainer, to the coach, sorry.
Gotcha. Well, Pablo, just know that let's try that route. And if for any reason we need to, we'll do our best to make sure we can accommodate you to make sure you stay in the class.
Thank you.
We like you here, and we'll find a way to keep you.
Yes.
Yes, we need to keep you,
Also,
Pablito.
I like here.
Okay.
Glad to hear it. All right, so I'll see you next week, and then we'll get that recording to you shortly.
Yes.
All right.
See you next week.
All right, bye, Pablo.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Lula.
Bye.
And John, if you're there, you can stop the recording.
Oh, okay.
Oh, by the way,